Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Samasta Jana Kalyane, Niratam Karunamayam, Namami Chinmayam Devam, Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Vaktum Subodha Vedantam Pravruto Hyabudopyaham Kripaya Yasya Tam Vande Shri Ganesham Punah Punah Vande Saraswatim Devim Sadgurum Me Mahamatim Sita Sameta Shri Ramam Yachantu Shubhadam Matim. Sadhanamantarangam kim, sadhanamantarangam kim, bahirangam kimuchyate, bahirangam kimuchyate, chitta shuddhi samadhana, chitta shuddhi samadhana, karakam sadhanam bahihi, karakam sadhanam bahihi. Yajñodanam tapaschadi, yajñodanam tapaschadi, sagunopasanam japaha, sagunopasanam japaha, sadhanam bahirangam tat, sadhanam bahirangam tat, katyate shastra sajjanaihi. Katyate Shastra Sajjanai.
In this portion now, we are seeing the various different types of spiritual practices that we can undertake in order to do two things. These practices which we are undertaking will do two things. One, purify our mind, and two, make it single-pointed. To purify means to master. And single-pointed means to be focused. So the practices that were just given, tapas, austerity, yajna, we saw last week, worship, sacrifice, dhanam, charity, and now more have been given, Saguna Upaasana and japa, and many more. So today we will talk about what is Saguna Upaasana. That's the topic we'll take up today. Saguna is in reference to God. This is Saguna. We saw this before when we looked at what is God. We said God, four aspects to God: Nirguna, formless, nameless, infinite, absolute. Then we said Saguna, he then has form and attributes. So Bhagavan takes on name, form, and has various qualities. Then we said of that Saguna, then we said, the one that you find the dearest is called your Ishta Deva. And when Bhagavan takes Saguna and comes on earth, it's called Avatar. So these four aspects of God we have seen before. So now we are looking at the concept of Saguna Upaasana. Upasana. So now, towards this God who has form, so towards God who has form, now I have to do this thing called Upasana. What is Upasana? Yeah. In English, sometimes they translate this as meditation. Yeah, translate it. Oh, meditation got so many different meanings. So if we look at, there's a definition of this. It's a little bit technical, but we'll just read it. Yata shastram upasyasya artasya vishayikarane samipyam upagamya taila dharavat samana pratyaya pravahena dirgha kalam yat asanam tad upasanam. So, what did you say? Now, this is a definition Shankaracharya has given in his Bhagavad Gita Bhashya. So now, clarity will be given. The word upasana has got two aspects to it. Upa plus asana. Upa means samipa, to be near, to be close, to be near or close. Asanam, the asanam, to sit. It is the asanam. Means to sit. Those who practice yoga then have various asanas, postures. Yeah. So what does the word upasana mean? It means to sit close. So now Saguna Upasana means sitting close to God. Oh, now sitting close to God, now what does that mean? I better find a murti of Bhagavan, put it somewhere and just sit next to him the whole day. So whole day, just sit in the prayer room, do nothing. Why? I'm practicing Saguna Upasana. My little picture of God is there. I'll just sit next to him. You know, even your own children, if you sit next to them all the time, they will not be happy. Isn't it? So we don't even know God wants us to sit next to him all the time. He might say, it's time, you can go. I would like to be with other devotees. Can I have a break from you? So is it physically sitting next to God the whole time? No, it's not physically sitting. Because one, we can't get anything done in our day if we're sitting next to God the whole time in the prayer room. Yeah. And two, we just find God may not want to sit next to us the whole time. We don't know. So now this definition, this is what it says here. It says when a person takes yata shastram upasyasya artasya vishayikarane, it takes an idol, an image or an object. An idol, image or object of God that has been given by Shastra. When you take an idol, image of God that is given by the scriptures and you remain close to that. Now, so we have to remain close. Now, what does the closeness mean? Samana pratyaya pravahena. Having thoughts of the same nature towards that God. Having thoughts of the same theme. The theme should be the same. Samana pratyaya. Samana means same. Yeah. So they should be of the same theme and nature, and they should be directed towards this idol, this image, this object, which we are calling God. Dirgha kalam, for a long period of time. For a long period of time. So upasana is not something you can do quickly. Swamiji, I practiced 5 minutes of upasana. Will I now get into Vaikuntha? It looks like Bhagavan has said, a bit more work has to be done. Dirgha ka, long period of time we should do this. Now, long period of time doesn't mean you sit for 10 hours. It means over a period of your life. Yeah? That this has to be practiced for a period of your life. Some people practice meditation for like 6 months. So Swami, you practice meditation but not feeling any effects. 6 months is not Dirgha Kala. Dirgha will be many years actually. Yeah. That is what it means by asanam. So what does the sitting mean? The sitting means to have the same flow of thoughts towards that image of God for a long period of time. And it says here, Taila Dharvat. Taila, you know, Taila is oil. Tail. Oil. Dharvat means a flow. He said, your flow of thoughts should be like that flow of oil. A flow of oil is different to a flow of water. Oil, you know, is sticky. It's more viscous. Now, because it's sticky, what happens when it starts flowing? There's no break, actually. It just keeps on going. But water, when you pour, they have breaks in the water. Yeah? Water doesn't necessarily come in a stream. Oil tends to be more consistently in a stream. It falls, sometimes it's thick amount, but it's sometimes thin amount, but it's always unbroken. Oil tends to be unbroken. Whereas when you pour water, it's a broken stream can be there. So it says, Taila Dharavat. Our thinking of God should be just like this oil trickling down, unbroken. Yeah. Now, this is, so now we understand what Saguna Upaasana is. To think of God constantly. It's a simple way. Think of God constantly. Now, many people, they find it very difficult because they say, if I think of God constantly, I can't get anything done. They feel there's a big contradiction in trying to get any work done in this world and thinking of God. And this is where one of the most important sadhanas, and the first sadhana in bhakti is the most important. And the first sadhana in bhakti is Shravanam. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Parasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyamatma, Nivedanam. When I say Shravanam, listening to what? Katha Shravanam. Bhagavad Katha Shravanam, listening to the stories of God. Listening to story. Katha, story. Shravanam, listening to the stories, leelas, glories, adventures of God. Now, sometimes what happens is people say, Swamiji, we are intelligent Vedantis. We don't want to listen to these stories of God. We want to study Tattvamasi. We want to study the Shankara Bhashyam. These stories are for children. Swamiji, teach it to Balviha, but we are adults. We are intelligent. Yeah. Now, what happens is, it's not to do whether you're intelligent or unintelligent, educated or uneducated, child or adult. All of us, our mind operates in the same way. We have mana and we have buddhi, mind and intellect. For every person and every individual, intellect and mind operate in the same way. And that is that the intellect is capable of very deep, powerful thinking process, but it can only do it for a short period of time. The intellect is always like your 100-meter sprinter. It's very powerful, very impressive, can be very insightful. It doesn't go for a long period of time. It conks out. So people have intense period of thinking, and then after that, you can't think anymore. They have to listen to music, watch some TV, do something else. Yeah. That's why you see when we see youth, if you see youth, they will cram. It's called cramming, you study for exams. So the entire year you study nothing. And then when the exam comes, that last week, they will study 14 hours a day. Cram. And they'll do this for about 7 days. Beyond that, they can't sustain it. After that, they have to go party. And when they party, all that information gets moksha from their head. So they get vidya muktihi, freedom from all the knowledge they learned. Yeah? This is because the nature of the intellect. The intellect has not got stamina. So people cannot constantly be engaged in intellectual exercises. It's not possible because our antakarana is not made that way. Our intellect is not made that way. You cannot keep on studying astrophysics all the time, or even philosophy all the time, Upanishads all the time. You cannot. It's not possible. Therefore, we have to rely and look upon the other aspect of our personality that is called Manaha. Manaha, mind. Mind emotionally based. This emotionally based mind, one thing about it, it changes a lot more often. It changes quite often, but it's always on. You can never turn your emotions off. You can turn your thinking off, but you can never turn your feeling off. Feeling is always there. So mind is like this marathon runner. It just keeps on going without a break. Intellect is sprinter. Yeah. Now, understanding this is the nature of our psyche. Shastra has now said that we should continuously think of God, because as you think, so you become. In 8th chapter, Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Mamanu Smara Yudhya. Bhagavan has given a famous verse. He said, therefore, at all periods of time, remember me and act. Now, how am I to remember him all the time? Can I do it intellectually? I would not be able to do it intellectually because the intellect can't do the same thing all the time. Therefore, I have to engage my emotion. My feeling to God is very important. With feelings towards God, then you can sustain that feeling throughout the day. Yeah? Like even when you work, when people work, we go to office and all that, but feelings of love for the family are always there. So any minute, anything happened to your child, even your child is sitting in exam that day you also can't work because you're wondering, is his child, did he write his name properly? Did he read the question? My child doesn't read questions properly, doesn't even answer my question properly. What's the chance of answering the examiner's question properly? And sometimes he forgets his name, writes the wrong name, writes this name. So even when you are doing your project, you are thinking of the child. That's emotion actually. Emotion is constantly there. So now, if we can engage this emotional aspect of our personality, we can have consistent thought of the divine. Yeah? If we engage the emotional personality, we have consistent thought of the divine. And the best way to engage and create love for someone is to know more about them. When you know more about a person, you fall in love with that person. The more we see, the more we hear, then we start becoming very fascinated with that person. Even in movies and all that, when you see same actor in many movies and you like them, you say, oh, I like this person. Yeah? When you see same sports person winning all the trophies, like this, what is a tennis player? Federer, he wins everything. So he got a big fan base. Because we're so used to seeing him everywhere. Anywhere a tennis racket is, Federer will be there only. Yeah? So people are doing, even Roger Federer Upaasana is going on. People are doing various, Shah Rukh Khan Upaasana was going on in late 90s, early 2000s. Now I don't know who the latest people are. In 70s, 80s, Amitabh Bachchan Upaasana was going on. In 90s in cricket, Sachin Tendulkar Upaasana. They wrote a Sachin Chalisa as well. You see, the Upaasana is going on. We're doing Upaasana anyway of these people. Yeah? We should do Upaasana of God. Yeah? See, people have memorized all the statistics of Sachin Tendulkar. They know in 1991 what his batting average was. In 92 what his batting average was. 93 when he had an injury, when he didn't have an injury, what he scored against South Africa, and why he only got 2 against England on that. They know all these things. It was because his partner ran him out. That was the problem. So people know all this. They have memorized the Katha and Leela of these people. Yeah? And then, when we think, anytime people play cricket, whenever they're batting, they're thinking Sachin. I want to be like Sachin. How does Sachin do it? How does Sachin stand? How does he hit the ball? Which way does he do? And then people copy. We then copy and imitate them. Yeah, we buy his bat, and by buying his bat, you don't become him. You have to do hours of practice. You can't just buy his bat and say, "I'm now Sachin Tendulkar. I have his bat, his pads, and his helmet." Yeah. But you see, because we're constantly thinking of him, we want to become like him. And then people do develop like that. Some people that are committed to it, they will also start taking on his skills, his habits, his way of playing, and that becomes part of their way of playing. Yeah? And so therefore, this is how Upasana works. Upasana works in such a way that as you constantly think, then you slowly start becoming like that. Now I say we are doing Upasana of worldly people, but now what we need to do is start doing Upasana of divine. So where does it all start? It has to start with the stories, Leelas and Katha of Bhagavan. This is why this Katha Shravanam is very important, because Katha Shravanam is going to be the means for continuous remembrance of God. And through continuous remembrance of God, you become closer to God. That is called Upasana. Okay? So, if you understand now, this is why I wanted to take a portion today. I'll take a portion from the Bhagavatam. There is a beautiful, Bhagavatam's got plenty of beautiful chapters, but one chapter has particularly captured my attention. Now, Bhagavatam is not just a story of Sri Krishna, okay? Many avatars of Bhagavan Vishnu are discussed. However, of all the avatars, the most importance is given to Sri Krishna avatar. Okay. So this is actually found in the 10th book. Bhagavatam has got 12 books, and Krishna Leela only starts in 10. So you go through 9 books with no Krishna, and then only Krishna starts in 10. But it's a very big book. That book 10 is as big as all the other books. And then in this book, Krishna Leela has got 90 chapters. The book 10 has got 90 chapters. And in this one, chapter 21. So this is book 12. Book 10, chapter 21. And this chapter is called Venu Geetam. Venu Geetam means the song from the flute of Bhagavan. So this is, Bhagavan is still Bala here. This is before Ras Leela. Bhagavan is still Bala. And he's living in Vrindavan with all Gopa Gopis, Nanda Baba, Yashoda Maya, he's living, Balaram, everyone is with him. And I will read the verses, we'll go through like a story. Yeah? Ittam sharat swachajalam padma karasugandhina nyamashadvayuna vatam sagogo palako chutaha. Achyuta entered into that Vrindavanam, and that Vrindavanam was filled with lakes and water, and that water was pure and clean. And the breeze that was coming from these rivers, lakes, and waters, it had the fragrance of Padmakara Sugandhina, of lotus. So the fragrance of the lotus was captured on that breeze, and that was going to, and it was cooling down that whole area. Into this, Achyuta enters. Achyuta means Krishna. Kusamita Vanaraji Shushmi Bringa Dvijakula Gushta Sarat Saran Mahindran Madhupati Rabagahya Charayangaha Pashupala Balas Chukuja Venum. It said Bhagavan entered into this forest, which also had all these bees that were humming and buzzing. There were birds that were chirping. beautiful lakes and hills. Bhagavan is called Madhupati. Madhupati. Pati means Lord. Madhu means sweetness. Bhagavan is the Lord of sweetness. And he has entered and he's bringing all the cows. He's herding the cows into Vrindavanam. And he's along with Saha Pashupala, with the Gopas and Balaram. And now Chukuja Venum, he decides to play his flute. Bhagavan pulls his little flute out the Venu and starts playing it. Oh, when Bhagavan starts playing, Tadvajastriya Ashrutya Venu Gitam Smarodayam Kashit Paroksham Krishnasya Sasakibhyon Vavarnayan. When he started playing this, Vrajastriya, all the women of that village, they heard Venu Gitam Ashritya, they heard that song, Smarodayam, great love started arising in their heart. Attraction for Krishna, love for Krishna started coming, and they started talking to each other. Oh, what is this beautiful sound? They tried to describe it. Tanvarnayidumarabdaha smarantya Krishna cheshtitam nashakan smarveghena vikshiptamanaso. It said they knew Krishna was there and they tried to explain to each other and share stories of Krishna. So as they tried to share the Bala Charitra of Krishna to each other, telling stories, actually they got so overwhelmed with love they couldn't speak. They couldn't speak anymore. So their description stopped. Yeah? And the beautiful verse. Barha pidam natavarvapuhu karnayo karnikaram bibradvasa kanaka kapisham vaijayantim chabalam randran veno radharasudaya urayan gopavrindehi vrindaranyam swapadaramanam pravishadgita kirti. It's a famous verse describing Bhagavan. Barha pidam. Barha pidam means the peacock feather in his hair. Natavara vapuhu. That means he had the body. Natavara means a great dancer. He was like a great dancer, actor. Karnayo karnikaram. Beautiful earrings in his ears. Vasa kanaka kapisham. Shining gold dhoti he was wearing. Vaijayanti malam. He was wearing a beautiful garland of flowers. These flowers from the forest. Vaijayanti mala. Flowers from the forest. Randran venor adarasudaya purayan. He was filling that Venu with the nectar from his lips. Adarasudaya. The nectar from his lips, he was playing that Venu. And in this Vrindaranyam, in this Vrindavana forest, Swapada Ramanam, which has been beautified, enchanted by the feet of Krishna. Because Krishna has walked all over there. So his little footprints are everywhere. That whole place becomes beautified. Into that Pravishat, he enters into that forest. Oh, when he's entering like that, Shrutva Vrastriya Sarva Varnayantyo Bhire Bhire Sarva Bhut Manoharan Venurvam. That sound from his flute, Sarva Bhuta Manoharam, it captivated the mind of every creature. Every creature's mind was captivated. Oh, and these gopis all of a sudden, in their mind, they started mentally embracing Krishna. They just thought of Krishna. Then these gopis started speaking to each other now. Akshnanvatam phalamidam na param vidhama sakyu pashunanu visheshayator vayasyaihi vakram vrajesha sutayor anuvena jushtam yairva nipit manurakta kathaksham moksham. They were saying, Vaktram, the face of that Krishna. Our eyes have seen the face of that Krishna. And when our eyes have saw the face of that Krishna, that means the eyes have attained their greatest phala. There is no greater fruit, there is no greater gain, there is no greater sight for our eyes other than seeing the face of Krishna. Huh? Param Navidhama. We don't know anything higher than this. This is the best. So their eyes now are captivated with that Krishna. That Krishna is standing in the middle of Vrindavan and he's playing Madhye Virejutuhu. He's shining, shining, shining with beauty, so much beauty. The gopis are now looking at each other and they're looking at this Krishna who's playing on the flute. Gopya kimacharadayam kushalam smavenur dhamodharadhara sudham api gopikanam bhunkte swayam yada vashishtarasam hridanya rishyatvacho shrumumuchustaravo yatarya. The gopis are asking each other, hey, what has this flute Venu done? What punyam has the Venu done, the flute done, that it gets to enjoy the nectar of that Sri Krishna's lips? That nectar, which should be ours. We should be enjoying the nectar. But now the Venu has got that nectar. Oh, this is very unfair. That should be for us. Huh? They are like jilted lovers. They want all of Krishna to themselves. Yeah. It's a very interesting thing. Huh? They said the rivers, the rivers and the trees. Now this is where it gets very interesting, how they describe all the scenery. It said the rivers, Hrishyat Tvachaha. That means, like on our body, when we experience great thrill, the hairs go up on our body. It's called horripilation. The rivers were experiencing this. Now, how does a river experience horripilation? Well, it doesn't have any skin. What it says is the rivers, the lotus was coming out of the rivers. And as the lotus was coming out of the river banks, it was like horripilations on the river. And then it said the trees were shedding tears. What does it mean, trees shedding tears? I mean, the sap was oozing out of the trees. The sap was coming out of the trees, like the trees are shedding tears because Bhagavan is so close. In the Sannidhi, Krishna Sannidhi, they are enjoying that. Oh, so now rivers and trees. Vrindavanam sakibhuvo vitanoti kirtim yaddevaki sutapadham jalabda lakshmi govindavenu manumatta mayura nrityam prekshadrisan vartanya samasta sattvam. The hills, the Vrindavana itself, Devaki Sutta Padambu Labda Lakshmi. Very interesting word. This Vrindavanam has attained the great treasure of having the feet of Bhagavan touch it. A great treasure that Vrindavana has got. And it says, in this Vrindavanam, Govinda Venum Anumatta Mayura Nrityam. The peacocks are dancing as if they were drunk, intoxicated. They're mad and they're dancing. And it says, from the hills, they're dancing and other creatures are looking at them. All the other creatures are just staring at these peacocks. The peacocks have gone mad. And the people are dancing in this mad ecstasy of Bhagavan's Venu Gitam. Then it says that even the deers also, those deers that are nearby, they are looking at Bhagavan with glances that are filled with affection. So much love they have. They are just staring at Bhagavan and looking at him, the deers. Yeah. Then this is one of my favorite ones. Huh? Mm. Oh, this is a different. The cows and the calves, what were they doing? Gavascha Krishna Mukha Nirgata Venu Gita Piyusham Uttabita Karna Putair Pibantyaha Shavasnutastanapaya Kavalasmatastuhu Govindamatmanidrisha Shukalas Prashantyaha. He said, Gabha, the cows, they were drinking in the piyusha, nectar of the sound, this flute that has come from the lips of Krishna. Krishna Mukha Nirgata Venu Gita Piyusha. The nectar of this Venu Gita, they are drinking in through the cups of their ears. It said their ears were standing up. You know, animals, if you see, when they relax, the ears are down. And then when they're paying attention, ears go up. The cow's ears had gone up. And, you know, if you've seen the ears of a cow, it's like a cup. Because that's how ears have to be, like a cup, so you can hear. I said they were like cups that were trying to capture the nectar of this flute of Krishna, this sound. Oh. And while they were listening to it, the calves were there. Shavas, the calves. The calves that were drinking the milk from the cow, they stopped still. They just stopped. The cows were eating grass, they also just stopped still. Completely bedazzled. They stopped. And it said they were just staring at Krishna, and through the gateway of their eyes, they brought Krishna into their heart. They brought Krishna into their heart, and then tears came out of their eyes. Tears started coming out of their eyes with calves. Calves and these cows. Ho ho! So now we have seen, we have seen the cows, the calves, the rivers, the trees. Now it says that even the birds also, those birds would fly to the top of the branches. So go to the top of the branches, then they can get they can hear better the flute of Krishna. And while getting the flute, they said they closed their eyes and they just sat there in meditation. And they said they were like munis. The birds were like munis. They were just sitting there in meditation, listening to that beautiful sound of Krishna. This one also famous. This one I like. It's the river. Nadyastada tatupadharya mukunda geetam avartalakshita mano bhava bhagna vega alinganasthagitam urmi bujhair murare grananti padayugalam kamalopahara. The rivers that were flowing past Krishna, they became so intoxicated with this Venu Geetam, it said they stopped flowing. Bhagna vega. They tried to stop their flow. And as the water tries to stop it flowing, what happened? It started going around in circles. So it's a little whirlpool started forming in the rivers. Why? Because they didn't want to go past Krishna. They want to stay next to Krishna. So the rivers said, oh, no, we're coming back. So they do U-turn. And then little whirlpools are coming. Yeah? And it said, river has little waves. It said these little waves were like little hands. And they were reaching out to touch the feet of Krishna and hold him. Because they didn't want him to leave the banks. So the little waves of the rivers were like hands that were holding onto the feet of Krishna, and kamalopaharaha, they were offering lotuses to him. Like this is how the river was responding to him. This one also very nice. Clouds now. What were the clouds doing? Drishtva tape vrajapashun saharama gopai sancharayantam anuven mudirayantam prema pravruddha udita kusumavalibihi sakyur vyadat swavapusham buddha atapatram. The clouds saw that the sun is beating down upon poor Krishna. And that sun that is beating on poor Krishna, oh, Krishna might get heat stroke. Krishna could get heat stroke, poor Krishna could get headache. So the clouds then said, Prema Pravruddha. They became so filled with love that actually the clouds started forming. They started forming, water droplets started coming, and they formed to a large, expansive cloud like an umbrella. Atapatra. The clouds turned into an umbrella to shade the sun from Krishna. You will find that this description also is given in the Ramayana. When Bhagavan went to the forest, you see clouds also came across him. So the hot sun was not beating upon Bhagavan when he was walking through the Vanam. For Bhagavan and also Bharat, same thing. Nature starts changing. Now this is interesting. Purna pulindya urugaya padhabja raga Shri kumkumena daitasnana manditena Taddarshana smara rujastruna rushitena Limpantya anana kucheshu juhustadhadhim. He said the local women of that area, all of a sudden, just by seeing, they had seen on the grass, they had seen red, this red powder that was there, smeared on the grass. And when they saw that, they knew exactly what that red was. That red powder had come from the bottom of the feet of Sri Krishna. It's actually kumkum. Now why Bhagavan have a kumkum on his feet? Actually, he said that kumkum from the bottom of his feet actually had come because it actually come from the gopis actually. The gopis would put kumkum on their forehead and even on their upper here. And then it said that when Bhagavan would dance, they would kneel in front of him and they would say, Bhagavan, put your feet on our head. Put your feet on our shoulders. And so when they did that, then that kumkum would go from the gopis onto Bhagavan's feet. And now Bhagavan is walking in the forest and now that red is in the grass. And the local people are seeing that red and then they are thinking of Bhagavan. And I said, they are completely overcome with ecstasy. They get the red from that ground, whatever is there, and they put it on their head. They are putting this. In the Ramayana, a very nice thing. It is said when Bharat saw the footprints of Bhagavan in the forest, he took that dust and he did Abhishek of himself with that dust, a Raja Abhishek. Because he said, this dust has been touched by the feet of Bhagavan. Same way, now the local village ladies are doing this. And Hantaya Madhriya Bala Haridhasa Varya Yat Rama Krishna Charana Svarasha Pramodaha Manam Tanoti Saha Go Ganayos Tayoryata Ani Yasuya Vasa Kandara Kanda Mulai. It said that the hills were in great ecstasy. Why? Because Rama Krishna Charana Sparasha Pramodaha. They have been touched by the feet of Balaram and Krishna. Oh, so they were in ecstasy. When the hills were in ecstasy, what did they do? They started producing food. The bulbs, the roots. They say even caves. They made caves so Bhagavan could take a rest in the cave. He doesn't have to go back home. It's like a wayside station. Bhagavan, you're tired? Come, stay in our cave. The hill made a cave for Bhagavan. And then beautiful, roots and fruits, all those things which you find on the floor underground, they all started coming up. So the hill was feeling so blessed. In this way, it was paying hospitality to all, not just Bhagavan, all the cowherds and the cows. Fresh grass was coming up, cows can eat. Nice fruits and roots were coming up, Bhagavan can eat. Caves, so he can take a break. It said in this way, Aspandanam gatimatam pulakastarunam niryoga pashukata lakshanayor vichetram. It is said that those things, that could move, all creatures that could move were actually just fixed. They were just transfixed on Bhagavan. Aspandanam gatimatam. They didn't even know what to do. And pulakas tarunam, the trees all of a sudden, it's like horripilation was taking place on them as well. In this way, evam vida bhagavato yavrindavan charinaha varnayantyo mito gopyaha kridas tanmayatam yayuhu. The gopis in this way were describing the whole scene of Bhagavan playing his Venu Gita. And the most important thing, kridas tanmayatam yayuhu. They obtained, by telling the stories of Bhagavan, they went into absorption with him. This is the final verse of that chapter. It says the gopis varnayantyaha, varnayantam describing, krida, leela, the sports of Krishna, tanmayatam yayuhu, they attained absorption in Krishna. Now, how are they getting that absorption? Because they are talking about Krishna. They are describing Krishna. And not just Krishna. You see in this, actually they're not talking about Krishna. They are talking about the effect that Krishna had on the entire nature around them. Now, when you read things like this, isn't it that we have to go for a walk? And when we go for a walk in the park, we also see green grass. We also see hills. We also see flowers. We also see clouds. We also see birds. We see all these things. But when we see them, what thought gets triggered? When we see the park, we see that it was so crowded. There's nowhere to walk. People got dogs here. Oh, they don't keep their dog on the leash. They should keep dog. People should keep dog on the leash. That's the wrong thing that they're doing. And that man is not wearing a mask. Why is he not wearing a mask? This is what happens when we go to a park. We just see people with dogs, no leash, no mask, and we get angry. And if you're going to get angry, then don't go to the park. Stay at home only. Yeah? Because don't go take your anger to the people in the park. Keep it in your house only. What thought gets triggered when we see these things? When we see cloud. When we see clouds, what are we thinking? Oh, must take the washing in. But no, you should be thinking Krishna only. You see, we are thinking washing should come in only. You see. So you see, it's associated, all these things we have around us. Yeah? When we see birds, are we thinking of those birds that are sitting there and enjoying the flute of Krishna? No, the bird, if he sits on top of my car, he might do his doo-doo on my car, and then my car has to be washed after that. Our thought association is very mundane. And because it's so mundane, that's where we stay. And as you think, so you become. So when you think about mundane things, you end up mundane only. But if we can take every object around us, and in those objects, we can now start seeing the divine, association with the divine, connection with the divine, expression of the divine, then even when you see the mundane, now your thought process is connected to the higher. So you're seeing something ordinary, but your mind is going to something lofty. This is the essence of Upaasana. You take an ordinary object, but you see some lofty ideal in it. Yeah. So now, anywhere you see whirlpool, you should be thinking of those rivers of Vrindavan. Anywhere breeze is coming, you should be thinking that is a cool breeze that cooled Bhagavan down. Anywhere you see cloud, umbrella to protect Bhagavan. Yeah. Now, as you do this, this is called Saguna Upaasana. This is how you take that Upasana, and throughout the whole day, it's going on. Throughout the whole day, it's going on. And this is how you can spend more of your day immersed in the thought of God. And you don't need to sit there and add 1 extra hour to sit in the puja room, another hour to sit in the puja room, another hour to sit in the puja. You never get out of the puja room. While you are doing all your different things, can you connect the ordinary to the extraordinary. And when you think of God like this, is such playful, such devotional, this is such a devotional and playful and light-hearted episode. You see, this episode is very light-hearted and beautiful. See, it doesn't require you to intellectually engage. You can just enjoy it as it is. So your intellect gets a break. And your mind now, which anyway is constantly on, mind is now engaged in feeling, thinking, towards the higher. This is the beauty. This is how people do it. This is how constant contemplation is maintained. Otherwise, we think constant contemplation is walking around with our eyebrows like this going, I am Brahman, I am Brahman, I am Brahman, I am Brahman. It's not how you do constant contemplation. Such an unpleasant face should not call itself Brahman. Because Brahman is bliss. I am Brahman. Get away from the chocolates. I am Brahman. Leave me alone. I am Brahman. Don't give me the TV remote. You can be Brahman and do all these type of things. Yeah? So we're thinking of God the whole time, contemplating the higher the whole time. A smile should be on our face. Joy should be in our eyes. That should be there. Yeah? This is how it is achieved. Now do you understand the importance of katha? That katha is not just sitting there telling stories to children about God, to the children of culture. It is such a amazing, strategic, psychological strategy or technique. It is a psychological technique to keep your mind constantly thinking of the one object. And as you think of the one object, as you think, so you become. Everyone operates on that. As you think, so you become. Therefore, we should go back to the stories of Bhagavan, the stories that touch our heart. And you don't need to analyze for meaning. You don't need to sit there and know the symbolism of it. Just enjoy it. Just revel in it. Yeah? So that throughout your day, that thought comes, that episode comes. Some ordinary object just triggers that thought. That's what we want. We want everything ordinary around us to trigger a thought of God. Then you're always surrounded wherever you are, whoever you're with. You can always bring forth the thought of God. This is what we want. This is called Upaasana. Okay? So this is called Saguna Upaasana. And I said the main way to achieve this is, of course, through Katha Savanam. Listen to the stories, read the stories, hear the stories, immerse yourself in them. Okay? I don't know. It's worth taking another topic now. Next topic is japa. Whew. I think it's nice to stop on this. Yeah? We can take up japa next week. Yeah? Okay, so sadhana, you should find. Now, all books, what I found is, everything you need to find, you can find on the internet. Don't sit there and say, I can't find the book. Get on the internet and just type. You will. I have found every most mysterious shastra, which I never even thought. I have found them on the internet. Yeah. Actually, one website I would tell you, it's a very good website for finding shastra material. This website is called archive.org. archive.org. Someone or a group of people, they have spent hours scanning books and books and books, and there is, I think, thousands of books on this in all different languages. This is what I found. I found so many things. I found Brahma Vaivarta Purana in Sanskrit and English. You find every language as well, all in English as well. So recently I started, Brahma Vaivarta Purana is a Purana on Bhagavatam. It's a Purana on Krishna. Krishna, Radha is given a lot of prominence in this one. It's a very nice one. All sitting there. Yeah. Now, from what I understand, the whole thing seems to be, I've never had any problems with it, no viruses and things like that. Everything is there. And because I don't know one of these things. So many different types of books are there you'll find. When you look on the internet, you'll find something to read. Okay? So now you spend this week immersing yourself in Katha Shravanam. This is the Upaasana. Okay, that's enough for this week. Close the class and just the announcement with it. Oh, there's 2 announcements. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.